Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 once again. But before I start, a special shout out to some new extra rotation members of part of my YouTube membership. So thank you very much to Jack, Edvards, Vanags, and Liam Randall. Thank you so much for joining the extra rotation club. You'll be getting a priority invite to these kind of lobbies, which I do online every single week. I'll be doing PS4 tomorrow, do it on PC and Xbox. And today is going to be one of those races. We're doing a 25% race. I always make it a custom grid. I try and put the fast people I know at the back, and we just see how we do, because these are the kind of races that I really feel help with league racing and getting better at the game. This is what I have always done to try and improve myself. So we're in equal cars here, starting on the medium tire at China, track that is notoriously difficult. So we get underway here, and we're going to be showing the full thing as always, because I think this is always quite a useful thing to showcase. Like, as usual, always quite a lot of carnage here, and I'm a bit rusty at this point because I've been doing so much iRacing recently. So this is actually my first race back, and coming into here, what on earth has happened there? And you can see, good job that my mic wasn't accessed it. And there's a glitch now where when you reset your car, it actually puts you in reverse, which is wonderful. Not sure what happened there. FGE Adam, who's a YouTube member of mine, I've actually had a one-to-one session with him in my coaching at coachlimitless.com. So if you want a one-to-one session with me, that is the place to go. He said to me that his dog jumped in his lap or something like that. I'm not too sure if I believe that. I think he was maybe had an illegal overtake on someone, or he was trying to let me go. But these are the races, I said again, that when you have something bad happen to you, it's actually really, really good to keep on going and to see what kind of comeback you can make. So that's exactly what we are going to try and do here. As I said at the start of this video, at this point I was pretty rusty. I've been doing iRacing for the last couple of days. More videos on that in the future. But jumping back on this, people like James Baldwin, you have to really respect from being a great racer on so many platforms. It's not an easy thing to be switching around, but within a few laps we definitely got up to speed again. And this guy ahead of me, Monkey Charlie 44, who I don't think is a YouTube member of mine, but he's a regular in my lobbies. He has honestly the worst connection I think I've ever seen. I don't know how he's able to play on live this connection. It's a nightmare for me because I don't know where he is half the time. But yeah, it's and you can see by the corner before there, really are quite rusty at this point, and I'll probably be saying that quite a few times. So as always, please let me know if you enjoy these longer videos. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you find them useful as well. And at this point in the race, I was pretty frustrated as FG Adam, who's unfortunately lost the car there, or his dog has jumped on his lap once again or something. But yeah, I wasn't particularly happy at this stage. I could see the leaders are almost into the final, or the penultimate corner already. So we're going to try and get past Charlie as quick as we can, and I don't know what was going on here. So on his screen, it's probably like I'm actually just barging him out the way, as then he dives back down the inside. So he probably thought I pushed him off there. Gives me some return, and you can see by the nod of disapproval once again in the webcam. So I'm really keen to get past him at all costs here. So I'm prepared to get my elbows out a little bit. I think he's trying to defend, so I'm not sure where he is. So hopefully he goes in a bit deep. We're going to try and do the good old switchback, and probably pushed him out there a little bit. But as I said, with this lag and connection, I think he needs to be sorting that. I think other people have had the same issue as well. So Monkey, Charlie, if you're listening to me, please invest in a Ethernet cable if you can, if you're not using one already. But we've managed to dispatch of him now. Now we're up into P13, so still a long way behind And I think one of the race leaders at the front is a guy who's actually very, very fast, who I forgot to put near the back. So it's going to be quite difficult for us to maybe try and win this race, but always never give up, because as I said, these kind of races where you can come back and do really, really well, it just gives you that confidence for when you do league racing, when you do competitive racing. Confidence is absolutely everything, and pretty much almost anything you're trying to get better at. The more confidence you have, the more relaxed you are, the more potential you get out of yourself. So I'm really trying to get past these cars. So do a little W to the left, going down the inside of the Stieg, if I can read it right, or Sieg. I'm not sure what his name is, but we managed to get that move done. Now we're behind JD 5 RXZ or Wazza. He's a very, very fast driver himself, so we've definitely got quite a bit of work to do here. And coming through into here, let's see if we can go down the inside. So a lot of people typically go deep into this corner and go down the inside and not making any contact, which is good. He is on the soft tyres, so he should be quicker at this stage of the race. But you can see here, that's just me being rusty at the game. If I had been playing this game for, I hadn't had this little break, which I've had, then I'd be driving a little bit better than I am right now. So still needing a few laps to really get into it. Coming through into here, this is where the mediums really after lap 6 or 7. That's really the crossover point. But the alternate strategy at every track is always going to be quicker if you're on the level, if you're right next to the person on the soft strategy. But around here, you don't have to be that close for it to be very, very powerful. There's definitely more tracks where the alternate strategy is very powerful, such as this track, China, USA, Singapore, Mexico. Those kind of tracks, it is extremely powerful. So we're going to try and get ahead of another fellow JD here. Is he going to make it difficult for us? Yes, he does. But we choose to go on the racing line. Hopefully he doesn't decide to outbrake us going to here and managing to navigate that hairpin quite nicely. We have a guy up ahead called Tom N 2004. He's actually a guy who is very, very quick. Raced him quite a few times during these lobbies and in the past as well. Very quick driver. I think I actually put him quite high up the grid mistakenly, as Wazza, who was another guy who had the fastest lap. He's on the soft tyres. Now he's behind us. His race is pretty much over now, because if you're a medium runner, or if you're a soft runner and a medium runner gets ahead of you before the pit stops around here, then you really have no chance in the latter part of the race. That's how powerful the alternate strat is, and you'll be able to see that as we're going towards the end of this race, to see the distance between myself and him, because he's a very, very fast driver. As we've got PSR Flame, who is another victim on the soft tyres. But this guy up ahead, Tom N 2004, very fast driver, and I think he started in the top 5 in this race. Someone who went off the radar when I was setting up the grid. Otherwise I probably would have put him at the back with me as well. But we're within touching distance, so this is good. And I like to go quite long round tracks such as this, because I think the softs, having fresher softs, is very, very powerful. But as I'm down the inside, we're just going to let him go, because he's going to be faster on these soft tyres at the moment. So knowing when to be aggressive, when to be patient, and this is the moment where we're patient, as I think Tom has actually... No, he hasn't gone into the pits. That was someone else. So no one on the medium tyre, I believe, has pitted just yet. But as I was going back to saying about Wazza, or Vazax, sorry if I'm saying that completely wrong. Sometimes you really need to know when to pick and choose your battles, because quite a lot of the time people decide to fight people at every opportunity, and then you end up just slowing yourself both down. So just having that ability to just forward think a little bit more, how to win the race as efficiently as possible. Sometimes you have to actually work together with people, kind of like in kart racing, in order to catch someone else up or to stop yourselves losing that much time here. So we're just going to be following him, but it's round this lap 6 or 7. This is where the crossover period does start to happen. You can already see here, we managed to keep with him quite nicely. But we've got this, the Dutch duck up ahead, who is on the medium tyres as well. And once again, not just because we're on these tyres, but definitely not fully to grips with this game again. Definitely needed a good hour or two to really get back in the rhythm. So we're not using any of the ERS here because we have used quite a lot of this race already. So these two are fighting each other. If I was the Dutch duck, I probably would have let him go because he's going to be very strong once he pits for the soft. So RXC, or RCX is now pitted, and so is Tom N 2004, which is actually fairly early for the softs. So we'll see how much this plays out as we go down the inside here. Oh, we're making a bit of contact, so that is not ideal. Don't think he's going to like that too much. If you don't know anything about open lobbies, one bit of contact, then everyone takes it completely personal. So as we're going into this corner, I was expecting this. Look at the arrow, diving down the inside. Let him have this, but then do the switchback of dreams. Don't think he's trying to take me out. I think he was a little bit annoyed. Maybe got pushed out on that first corner. And if you've been doing open lobbies for a long time, then you always know if you push someone out wide with an overtake, expect a full send down the inside of the next corner. But fair play to him, he didn't actually take me out. I think he was go for that move no matter what. So if I actually turned into the corner, I think our races would have been completely over. But we managed to anticipate that very nicely. And now we are behind ERS Hamilton, who is on the mediums as well. So at this point, I wasn't actually aware that Tom N 2004 hadn't actually clocked with me, that he actually pitted for some reason. Don't know why, but he just didn't at the time. So I was really focused on trying to go as long as I could and catch up to the back of ERS Hamilton. I wasn't really worried about Frosty Life at all because when he pits for the mediums, he isn't really going to get that much of an undercut. And then the softs are just going to be so powerful. He isn't actually a factor in this race if you know how strong the softs are going to be. He needs to be much further ahead. He needed to be about 7 or 8 seconds ahead to have a chance of really winning this race at this point. So my goal now is to try and catch ERS Hamilton, because if one thing you don't know is that when you choose the player car, so when you can put on your custom livery, so not the Red Bull or the normal F1 cars, you can be assigned any pit box. And for some reason, quite a lot of the time, if ERS Hamilton pits and then I pit, then we both go in the same pit box and then one of us gets held. So I'm really keen to try and overtake him before my pit stop, so I don't potentially get held. And even if your colours are different on the top left of the screen, you have no way of knowing which one or which pit box you could do. I think there's one way I probably could do for the future. If I check my teammate status, that would probably tell me who my teammate is. So if I did it here, it would probably say, which you'll probably see in a minute, that my teammate is only 1.4 seconds ahead. And then that would confirm it, so I will try that next time I do this. As Frosty now pits, we get the DRS from that, which is nice. And we really have to overtake Hamilton on this lap. But unknown to me again, Tom N 2004 has had about a 3 lap undercut, and the softs are going to be absolutely rapid at the decision race. He does a 33.1, so that is almost 2 seconds faster than what we're lapping here. So he's going to have an absolutely huge undercut. So I was too focused on Hamilton up here and kind of underestimated Tom N 2004 at this point here. So we're going to have a very good in lap, and it's absolutely crucial that I overtake Hamilton, because I didn't know if we would have the same pit box. I knew it was certainly a possibility. So coming down the straight, I'm going to be preparing myself to do this overtake. See the gap between myself and Tom in 2004. It's 14.1 seconds at this stage of the race. So trying to get a really good exit coming off this corner, driving a little bit better now. And now we're going to be using the ERS, but not too much. Try and save a little bit for when we come out of the pits. Use the DRS here. He goes quite defensive. Have to absolutely get this move done. His red light was actually flashing for a split second, so I know he's very, very low on the ERS. Coming into here, we outbrake ourselves quite late. Really, really crucial that we get on the traction, and now we're going to box this up. So let's see if we do have different pit boxes or not. So going to here, we almost pull off a Hamilton. Going to, luckily, no gravel trap anymore. And now spotting the pit limiter. Looks like there's only one set of mechanics actually coming out. Can't see any at the moment. And as we pit for the softs, the prediction was true. Thank God we overtook it, because we would have been held and our race would have been completely over, as unfortunately it is for ERS Hamilton. And you can see with that 3-lap undercut, 8.5 seconds. That shows you how powerful it is. And we've actually managed to overcut Frosty, who is on the medium tire. So now we have to try and get past RCX as quick as we possibly can. So we're going to go down the inside here. And the problem is we've had to use quite a lot of ERS in this first stint as well. And now the gap is 8.1 seconds. So we're going to stay on board, as we said, to the end of this race, because you can never know what can happen. And this is why I always encourage people to keep going no matter what. Even if you spin out 2 times or 3 times, you get taken out by multiple people. Just developing that patience and that consistency and just that drive to always just keep improving. This is the method I use to really help myself improve at the game. So at the moment, we've actually closed in almost 1 second on this lap already. So having these fresher softs, about 3 to 4 lap fresher softs, should be pretty significant at this stage. So with only 3 laps to go after this, we've got to be catching quite a lot, over 2 seconds a lap. But I know Tom is a fast driver himself, but I definitely underestimated his speed here. I think maybe a combination of myself not being fully up to speed, but no, he is driving very well himself. And from looking at the Delta, looks like he was running a bit of a straight line speed kind of setup, because in the corners we were gaining a ton of time, but down the straights he did seem to be quite quick. So you can see that through that first sector, gaining 3 to 4 tenths in those few corners alone. We're not going to go and push fully on this kind of lap, although it's very tempting to try and set the fastest lap. It's about being quickest throughout the next 4 laps rather than just on 1 lap, because I think a lot of people, they try and I don't know, they like to just set a fastest lap when they have the ERS, and then they have nothing for the next 3 laps where they're lapping about a second lap slower, where sometimes you have to try and put your ego to the side and decide, okay, I'm going to sacrifice 2 tenths on this lap, but then try and hit that lap every lap, and then overall you will gain more time. So this is the kind of scenario that really comes in handy when you're doing a league race, because I think a lot of people are very trigger happy, if that makes sense, when it comes to deploying the battery. It's good to have a lot in reserve and to try and be as efficient as you possibly can. So you can see for the remaining part of the lap, we haven't actually gained that much, but we have gained about 2 seconds so far since he exited the pit. So coming across the line, it's not going to be the fastest up of the race. You can see we had plenty of ERS to use, but we need to save it for the rest of this race. And unfortunately in the first stint we had to use quite a lot of it at the expense of trying to catch up and overtake some cars. So once again, going through the corners, we definitely gained quite a bit of time. And you can see RCX Vazax, sorry, I'm absolutely butchering your name, but you can see he's lost 4 seconds already. That's how powerful the alternate strategy is around here. And you can see it's 4.5 now. Next lap we'll check in to see what that gap is at the same point of the lap. So you can see, go through this section, we're gaining quite a lot of time through this middle sector, a tenth or 2 through most of the corners, but it's really down the straight. I think he was able to conserve his ERS quite nicely And that's why it's really, really beneficial to try and conserve it as much as you possibly can. And considering how much older his tyres are, RCX is actually just retired from the race now. His pace is very, very good. I was actually very impressed with the pace that he was doing. So he's driving a really, really good race so far. You can see Lewis Hamilton, because of him being held in the pits, he is 9.9 seconds behind. So that'll be a good benchmark to go against as well, since we're on the same freshness of tyres. So to go across the line, it's a 33.6 because we managed to keep a little bit of the ERS as well. So the gap is 5.3 seconds. And let's see what his time was. He's doing a 34.6, so we're doing a 33.6. So about a second a lap quicker if Jeff ever stops talking. So we have gained about 3 seconds in this. So it does show you how powerful these tyres are. But I was just too focused on Lewis Hamilton and just focused on going very, very deep, which is why sometimes definitely one of my weaknesses is trying to go a bit too long into the race at times, because my race pace is usually very, very good, but I always try and like to have slightly fresher tyres and so on, just for that psychological and that physical advantage as well. So it's lap 13 here. We're going to need a miracle to try and win this race. We're going to need to be gaining over 4 seconds a lap on the last lap, which, unless a meteorite hits the track or he gets a penalty, it's going to be very, very difficult. So I'm going to try and get within 3 seconds on the last lap if it's possible, because his tyres should be wearing out quite a bit at this stage of the race. You can see the gap to Lewis Hamilton is 10.5 seconds, so we are gaining time on him as well. So now we're going to use the rest of our ERS on this last lap now. So doing a 34.1, so still staying pretty consistent. The gap is 4.8 seconds, and we're just going to keep on giving it everything. Let's see what happens here, because I have seen absolutely mental things happen in open lobbies and league racing. Make sure you're always close enough to benefit from something happening up ahead of you. So coming into here now, the gap is still 4.8 seconds. So I was very, very impressed with this guy's pace, especially with the age of his tyres. He's doing a really, really good job so far. But it's through this section, you can see we've gained about 3/10 going through into here, and we're going to try and get within 3 seconds, but I think it's going to be very, very difficult. The gap is now 4.3 seconds. So coming through, starting the last sector of this race, but you can see up here, there is another car, a bright blue car on the track map. Looks like he is a lap car, and they're merging into one. So they're going completely side by side. You can see up ahead, they're actually going quite defensive. The gap is 4 seconds. Let's see what it is. So we're looking at the map down here, and going into this last corner, they've gone completely straight on. And you can see they're off into the barrier, into the gravel trap. And he has decided to take this guy out for me. But you know what? Sometimes you need to be a sportsman and do the right thing. Tom deserved to win this race. So we're just going to slow down. Let him have this. Give him a round of applause. He definitely deserved to win that race. And this is why sometimes sportsmanship is more important than winning. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully you learned something. Thank you so much for the support on my videos. Make sure you join my YouTube membership by clicking the join button. Get benefits as a priority invite to these lobbies, a discount on one-to-one coaching, my upgraded setups, and many, many more. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great new year, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.